upstate New York. She attended UNIV Buffalo Medical School, an internship at Montefiore Albert Einstein, residency at LAC USC Medical Center in LA. She has practiced community-based general pediatrics and family practice. She has served as medical director and on faculty at Washington University in St. Louis, Missouri. Her interest for alternative medicine and her re-education in the areas of energy medicine, quantum mechanics, quantum physics, as it pertains to the dynamic measures of human physiology. She is a certified biofeedback specialist. She is also the current chairwoman of the MBACB of North America. Combining her knowledge in alternative health, herbs, biofeedback, and a naturalistic approach to healing, Dr. Wilson has opened an office here in Reading, where she sees patients for medical consultations. And that belief is that the human energetic field is where healing takes place first. It is internal and focused on the psychosocial, emotional, and spiritual self. Dr. Pauline A. Good.
Thank you so much, Dwayne.
So many of you were able to come out. It's a very important day for me. The 25 years of allopathic practice have taken me down several roads, but it was my need to obtain more knowledge about the human body and how it actually works that led me into the energy field. Looking at the area of quantum physics have brought me a long way. It took 4 or 5 years for me to pull myself out of the vacuum of seeing a patient and dealing with the patient as a specimen, so to speak, in terms of the physiology of tissue, blood, and bones. I do believe the human organism is more, and it is through energy that I was able to get that. I've seen many patients. I'm up to almost 300 patients being done on biofeedback. But today in this practice I see alternative patients. And this group here in Reading and in the Shasta and Chico area has allowed me to use my allopathic knowledge in a more natural approach as I serve the patient for alternative health and medical cannabis and looking at other natural herbal ways of getting the body into and sort of preventing what is to come when it comes to imbalance and disease. I use an energetic tool, and there are many energetic tools on the market. The one that I use is called the EPFX and the QXCI. There are others. Today's lecture really is an opportunity for me to talk a little bit about energy and what I do in biofeedback, and at the same time to introduce into my practice nutritional, homeopathic, and natural compounds vis-a-vis energetics. And I'm most pleased to have Grant Clark here with me today, and he is going to take the energetic portion, the nutrition portion, and go into more detail about my products. I need to say this, as I bring products into the practice, these are products that are only marketed to physicians. I have gone and looked very far for products that offer bioavailability, is able to communicate biologically with our body. That means that it would be available for absorption, nutrition, and it would align our body's energies back to where it is, because everything on this planet is energy. Not one plant, not one flower, not one piece of sand. Everything has an energy signature. And this signature is so unique that it can be gotten by small, subtle energy and wave. Where is the information kept? The information is kept primarily in the right brain. 89% of who you are is unconscious. It is wrapped in a superconscious network of events. It is the subconscious that does the work. The subconscious filters. Finally, it has an engine. Through the hypothalamus and the pituitary, that engine is sent to do the neuroendocrine, because the nerves have to fire and the nerves need juice. That juice is through our hormones and balancing our hormones. And as we age, those sort of dwindle. But you need a biofeedback loop within your body to tell the brain today, no more TSH, because the thyroid is satisfactory. It is simple as that. If you have devices that can actually scan the body and receive from the body information real time, then it can help you to make some changes within your life. I do believe that the pathway to healing is psychological. It has to start in one's thinking. I'm useless whenever I have to stand in a room and write 5 or 6 prescriptions to someone who can hardly hear me, don't understand what I'm saying, and just know that they're in pain. But the person who has thought it through and says, doctor, you're talking gallbladder and liver, and I recall that these things are related, then I know that that person is involved and probably will do more in terms of helping themselves in their health. Social, we're social beings. No need to dress up and come out if you can't make friends. You have to make friends. That's what it's all about. We serve each other because we need each other. And we should never ever forget that. That social interaction begins not only in the family, but within a small unit we come and we call within our cadre. And I believe that you need to pay attention to everyone in your life because they've come to bring a message, silent as it is, as upset as they make you. They are still here to wake you up. So everything works together. Whether good or bad, it can be balanced. Emotionally, this is a time to guard the heart. And finally, spiritually, everyone for God. We are made in the image of the Creator God. And as such, we have a spiritual fiber now that's entwined within our beings. This is where I believe the healing really starts. Combined with the psychosocial and emotional self, these things must happen. And the reason why I mention spiritual, because no one can heal unless they're willing to forgive and be embedded in some part of the equation of love. So, the spiritual aspect of our being, I do believe, is the science that should have been brought into, I think, a more realistic picture for us to understand. I believe that if the psychosocial, emotional, and spiritual is balanced, the physical body will move. I need to also ascertain one true belief, that we are indeed made in the image of God. And in order to understand that, I had to redefine it. So I am an energetic practitioner today, so I see God as energy. This is the very same energy that got me out of bed this morning, holds us in a gravitational spin. We're here. This is my GPS. You're on Earth. It is this energy in your body. It is this energy within this environment and this Earth. And ultimately, it is this energy that you will summon to heal. This is another depiction of this energy from the central nervous system, or the CPU, which would be considered the brain. The brain has to be present to process. And the brain is where the connection through the right side, through the unconscious, and through the superconscious, it is, as you were called, to the Creator. I believe the connection that we have in this entire universe is DNA-based. Our DNA provided a suit. I try to wear mine loosely. I had to throw that in because this suit, it's the wear and tear, and it's the stressors that lead us to the imbalance and disease. What I found with this QXCI, and you can see the device, and you also saw in the video, this device is able, with a small wave, to find out what we have in our bodies in terms of calcium, magnesium, phosphorus. Not only that, it's the only biofeedback for the psychosocial, emotional, and spiritual. Oh, this allopathic physician did have to sit up and take notice. And I'll tell you why. You see, we do biofeedback in the medical world through an EKG, an EMG, and EEG. This is a natural feedback on your body's impulses. Now, someone told me that there was a device from how I'm thinking, a device about my social disposition. Oh my, how could that be? And then emotionally. So there are frequencies and waves that match our thinking. I can give you a word that could change your thinking, and at this moment, change your electrochemistry. And I might get a contraction of 1 or 2 muscles, whether it is visible to the world or not. Something within you is wired for this feedback. And so with biofeedback, I'd like to, at this point, introduce Naja, who is a patient of mine on biofeedback, and has had, not yet Naja, not yet, and has had biofeedback with me. I just want to show you the device that she's attached to 4 leads, which will give me an EKG. She's attached with a brain lead, which will give me an EEG. This is much more than we need for the purposes of this seminar, because remember, it's just nutrition I want to talk about. But I cannot speak about nutrition until I tell you a little bit about the science. So in your hands, here's a 2-page handout. And that is a lecture that I presented to Budapest, Hungary. I think it was in 2009, maybe it's 2 years ago. In that lecture, there's one paragraph there, and I'll leave you to read the rest, but I do believe that this is perhaps the most opportune moment in the history of human progress for energy medicine and biofeedback devices such as this to step up to the plate, given the recent advances in medicine. On the one hand, the technologies that we have in this electronic age, and on the other hand, the emergent traditional practices in energy medicine is upon us. Collectively, humanity is evolving into an awakening of consciousness. Everyone is talking about this consciousness. I believe this consciousness for our purposes today can best be understood by looking at the human energy field. What is the human energy field? Anybody have an idea? Well, it's been well described and it's been well tested, but yet and still it's been denied. Although Western medicine traditionally uses biometry, voltammetry, electrochemistry through polygraphy, and a whole host of diagnostic tools, we still don't address in fixing and balancing our energy through these rather natural ways. Instead, there's a limited biofeedback through EKG, EEG, and EMG. We lack a comprehensive study and review of biofeedback in the context of the energy medicine. We need to pay more attention to the core, which is the ethereal body, a holographic energy field or template that carries information for growth. So there's a template in every individual that carries the information for growth and normal development and repair of the physical body. So I've been saying it, and many of you have heard me say it over and over again. You come in with the ability to heal. It is your job to hold on to the ability to heal. Many of the healthcare providers that you see, I'm a little outside of the box, but they yearn for the opportunity to help you to heal. That cannot be done until your insight and awareness has become so keen. I dare say you might be able to fix yourself if it's not too far gone. There are stages to diseases, so depending on where you are, that may be challenging. What stands at the front and center of energy medicine is alternative medicine, holistic medicine. Simply put, energy medicine directly to our bodies, subtle energies by directing electrical, magnetic, and gravitational forces from the physical realm into our ethereal body. These ethereal bodies contain the meridians, which are the acupunctures, the chakras, and the positive energy base of our being. Stress and trauma, whether it be emotional, and that's why I spend so much time. Everyone says, I'm stressed, doctor, and I carry this diagnosis of chronic fatigue. Oh yes, the stresses in your life can be psychosocial, emotional, and spiritual. I tell you again, the spiritual damage, trauma can lead to the others rather quickly and can lead to a skyrocketing down. So the spiritual self must come into a quicken for that mind to think that perhaps not so many drinks, that's going to hurt my liver, and that I am taking Norco and that's already hurting my liver, I will perhaps not drink today. That kind of a click really does help. And I think that the doctors could write all day. I certainly can talk all day. It's until you can feel that from a very deep level. As an allopathic physician in clinical practice, I realize that medical models emphasizing quick fixes, it's here for me. It's always available. Offered by a pathophysiology, I say that something is wrong within your body. I must then fix it through pharmacological means. But in essence, what I need to do is use integrative health to ask you to look backwards and look at the building blocks of your health, which would be nutrition. I would take into account earnestly to serve you your thinking about anything and most things, particularly about your disease or imbalance or discomfort in your body. What are you thinking? What's causing that? And then socially, how are you connected to a group that you have a family, you have some friends? They could make it a little easier just to have somebody to talk to and put it in perspective and get some support. And get a ride to the doctor. Ask for it and accept it. So much we do is putting additional stress on our bodies, trying to do this and that. Finally, the spiritual aspect of the being turns out to be the most crucial. I will ask for the The rest of this presentation you can certainly take your time and look over. But the bottom line is that the psychosocial, so real quickly, I'm going to go through a bunch of slides beginning with the universe, and I alluded to it on this one. If we have that first slide up, would you let me know the universe?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we'll go to the second slide just to remind you. The Newtonian mechanism of action of atoms, protons, and how they move, that whole scenario must be revisited. I'm not going to bother you with the electron microscopy of it, but when we look at electron microscopy of the body, we see within tubules and cells much more information. And the information is this. One cell, I hope you're on the third slide, the one cell within your body has the entire information for your entire body through the DNA. So cell-to-cell communication, because this occurs, I can cut a piece of your arm and have everything I need to know about your heart, how your bladder was functioning, how your lungs, because the imprint of that information has been passed and communicated between the cells. Imagine this. Your heart is somewhat failing and you have congestive heart failure. Your kidney has already been aware since yesterday, and your kidney has reduced the tubular movement of fluids to accommodate for your excess of fluid in the congestive failure. So your body is quite in tune. And guess where that tune is coming from? Primarily the mind. So I would like to move to the slide that says vibrational frequency, which is right after the color slides. It's both resonance to a certain number. Can everyone see that?
Vibrational frequency. Looking for it.
It's written with my handwriting.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
There you go.
Vibrational frequency, I don't make any apologize. I needed to write this more than type it, because everything that I feel here today is in this. The frequency resonates to a certain number, a certain color, a certain sound. All of this makes us. You could heal with a good music on. We just had some nice music. So frequency can affect the subconscious, and the DNA is our connection to the universe and all creation. And the DNA holds the energy pattern of who you are to be, who you are now, and how you will receive and perceive the environment that you're in. I have a book which says that your biology is essentially biography. Within your DNA is the imprint for what your whole life. Granted, some things need to happen. You need to be on the right polar line on the earth with the right social things moving, and you need to be aware. Then everything can happen. She's been very patient. Naja was tested already on this EPFX, and one of the consequences of that testing, which would be result something known as the Bar-Hope score. I will bring that up just briefly as we look. This is what's known as the Bar-Hope. When I test a patient, I get voltage. Here we are, the energy again, which is based on the trivector forces of the body. Voltage of 74, the normal is 80 to 100. So she's looking very good here. There are other readings in terms of an acid-base balance, and I will not belabor you with that. I find the nutritional patient will be very straightforward. So I started by asking Naja, what is your diet like, and what sort of meals do you have? And what we got was that on one day she said she would have yogurt for breakfast and coffee with cream and some toast. And on some mornings she said when she's very busy, she will skip breakfast. That sounds like a lot of us. And lunch, she would have a sandwich, and one day she actually had sweet potato and butter, because that's what she had time for. And another day for lunch, she had just cauliflower, because someone in Chico had fresh cauliflower, and she had that with butter. It was nice. Then on dinner, salad and soup. Not bad. But I said, when would your diet change? This seems to be kind of skimpy. And she said, it changes based on activity. When I'm not active, I'm not eating. But when I said anything changes with activity, she says, yes, I add more of a protein shake. And I add more protein to my diet. She says her diet also changes when the weather changes. I think that's of very interest to be noted. The fact that her resistant only is down and the other parameters, Her resonant frequency is also within its borderline low, but the resonant frequency can change. I would like to approach this patient just from a nutritional. With each of you, even with all of your medical problems, it's best to look at you from a nutritional standpoint. Because if you got the zinc, the calcium, the magnesium, the manganese, these were deficient, who knows, 5, 6 years. Don't take Centrum Silver. Find out what you need. This is where I am, and I really feel that I have excellent products with the company Energetics, and Grant will be happy to share that. When I test this patient, look at this box. I'm checking her for amino acid, Bach flowers, any blood, how's her bones, how's her chromosomes, how's her teeth, any disease, how is her emotions, fatty acids, flower essence. I don't want you to miss that, Grant. I'm going to look now at GM foods, which is the state of the art that we're in with our foods. Imponderables tell me a lot about the nutrition. The minerals, as you know, is imponderables tell me a lot about the emotion. And so do Bach flowers. I use them as phenolics. Another lecture. SAR codes for me stand for how are her organs, and Grant Spagiric. Should I say more? I said we just came from a conference in Seattle, and we actually looked in detail at a lot of these products, which are the greens that you can get directly from the bottle. I will say a word or two about that, but now I'm going to go into a program that I so love. I'm going to drop this to let you know I have 150 programs. Look at it. I have aging, muscular re-education. None of this is very important to me. The one that I use the most is the neuro-linguistic program. That's about emotions. You say, why would I go into the emotions dealing with nutrition? I'm going to get to nutrition, but we're going to go into the NLP. Let's go right in there. And under the emotional, this program, I have what is known as a brain scan. Can you see that? Okay. I'm going to go into the brain scan because I brain scan for nutrition. I want to know a wave is going to be sent through the nodes. Everybody, I get an EKG, an EMG, and an EEG, whether I choose to use it or not. It's information. And now, this brain scan, this is what I think is more, it's entwined with the stomach, it's related to adenosine and circulatory energy, and it's related to antimony. This device was made for the patient to use at home themselves, providing that they could have some kind of education. I have an additional program that's known as a body viewer, and I'm going to ask the body viewer because this patient needs to get the benefit, like any of my patients, for the program. So I'm going to ask this body scanner to look and see how are the functions. We'll return to this just briefly. We'll let it do its work. I now will go in and take care of just about a little bit of the lobes. I'm not going to walk away from a program, and it takes no more than a minute. But I feel it necessary to adjust when I can the frontal, the parietal, and I want to bring attention to the corpus callosum. I said that information is in the right side of the brain, 89%. How could you retrieve that information, and could it be benefit to you? Could it be that your DNA being brought in this life and called in for purpose? It's written in your DNA, and it's incorporated in your brain. And should the right brain communicate with the left brain? Let me talk a little bit about the left brain. It's only 10%, but it carries us. It's a big giant in the work. One, it is linear, it's verbal, and it has the ego and the superego. Oh, the music never stops there. It's always ongoing. So, if that information from the right brain could be processed in the left brain, we might gain a lot more information on how to proceed, and we would get a lot more insight and knowledge. Maybe that would increase our thirst so we can go for water and get better rehydration. These are the kind of things that your body is doing for you. I'm going to hit that corpus callosum because I like it, and then I'm going to try one more brain scan to see if I can get it. I get a rectification score, as you can see. And here we're rectify at 81%. Not a problem. The reticular formation is where most of the action occurs, so I will try that. I'm hitting electric energy in a portion of her brain to make that change. And all this for nutrition, because it starts for the brain. The brain has to know. The brain has to know that you're depleted because the brain has to send a message every day and multiple times to the hypothalamus and the pituitary to say, adjust the estrogen, please. Adjust the thyroid, please. And stress is at its max. We need ACTH so we can get adrenaline. That's the kind of business that's going on. And I'm going to leave it at 78% and I'm going to close. I'm going right now to the... I want you to be aware that there's other things that I do for people. Anybody in this room who's had biofeedback from me know that I do. I want to go right into the nutrition and homeopathy because hopefully I will be able to build a list. I'm going to look into basic homeopathy and here we are. Everything that normally the body needs, all these in the 400 to the 500, are things that the body needs, and it's out of balance. So that's not very important. Things like silica and thallium, etc., they're high. But let me go and ask you to look at her vitamin A. Please follow vitamin A, vitamin B complex. Each of these are out of whack. I'm sorry to say, Naja. The biochemic tissue soul seems to be okay. In any event, we find that there is need for some adjustment in nutrition, but I can do it better. I'm going to look at her stress and cortisol. Doing a quick test and scan your body. There are 4 programs that I need to run through and look at so that I can essentially make an adjustment on stress levels and your adrenals. There is a very important program for patients who come to me and say, Doctor, I'm fine. Nothing is wrong. I just need to get tuned back. They said they hear chakras and these other things. But when I do a risk profile, this is the program I'm in. When I look at the risk profile, the things in red are 3 standard deviation away from normal. The body has sensed all these things. The 1 deviation is neurological. There's 2 standard deviation. I can't tell you what it is. The body has just needs to readjust something in the neurological. I wish I could. When I look at inflammation, I find that it's been chronic. Something chronically in the patient. I'm going to put some big terms out there. It doesn't mean that nausea is sick. Remember, it's just for nutrition. So I'm not going to concern myself, but I'm going to go right into a box called minerals to see what, if any, minerals can be adjusted on this visit. And the first things first. Calcium is 549. The normal values is 100 and less. Anything that's too low also is out of whack. Okay, let's take it from the top. I was hoping to put every single one of these. Calcium. Potassium, I'm putting it in, if you would note, into a treatment box. In theory, I'm not going to touch her sodium, but her manganese is needed. Everything found on this earth can be found in your bodies. So I want to test somebody someday, so I can tell them, you're not even from this planet. Nothing in your body matches. I suspect there are a few. So someday I'm going to have one in front of me for biofeedback, and I'm going to say, you don't have the zinc in the things that we have. So you need zinc. Can someone tell me why you would need zinc in your body?
Yeah.
Very nice. For the immune system. Why? Because the enzymatic reaction within our body requires these trace minerals. Trace minerals, if you didn't know what was wrong with you, and you were just low in energy, try some trace minerals. A good chance you're not getting it from the diet. I can put money on what I just said. So you need to support your nutritional intake and supplement your diet in some way. I just don't feel that you need to do it in excesses across the board. I find in real time, the only way I can substantiate this better is everything I find here today in nausea, I send her to the lab for a battery of minerals and calcium and have it come back. I know that my values here are correct because I'm getting a gestalt for a real substance that has a known frequency in the realm of energy. So energetically, I want to make a difference. And I find taurine is needed for energy. So Naja, have you been feeling a little tired and drained? why taurine is markedly off. I want to take care of that. And now is for an example, I have to share the time with the other speaker. I am going to essentially close out of this. I wanted you to briefly see the program, and before leaving, I want to go in, if I believe I have everything here, and close out to say, I, as an energetic practitioner, have many tools at my disposal. What I want to use most of all is energy to scan your bodies in real time and look at your need for nutrition. I believe that if you kept the suit intact, you would have less to pay next year. Here's the 2014 when you have to pay for your health insurance. You would be in better position maybe to get an health insurance that would look at you at 1 or 2 times a year an annual physical. This business of health is under your control, and you need to spend every day, every waking hour, working on how you can do that, whether that be with change of lifestyle, exercise. Your nutritional intake is very important. I know, without asking each of you, you've all had to deal with an onslaught within your GI system, your gut, whether it's constipation or diarrhea or irregular bowel movements. Use your gut as a real gestalt for how you're doing in terms of normal physiology. And then finally, the name of the game in healing is supplement your health as much as you can. And when we check the rectification, I do this only because I want to show you she's not completely rectified. But what are the things I want you to be concerned about? Stress, lack of awareness. You might have inherited certain disorders that you need to move in a certain way. Your mental factors, it's always in your thinking. Change a thought, change a thing. I'm always in need of that. And allergies, if you're prone to allergies, your brain has already observed that you've seen the allergen. You may not have a reaction with symptoms, but you are still subject to changes within your physiology. Toxicity, whether it be electromagnetic or radiation. Trauma, and trauma is psychosocial, emotional, and spiritual. And finally, disease get put in category. If you look at illness, you're really acutely ill. You just had a motor vehicle accident. You're subacutely ill. You've been suffering with thyroid and you still need to maintain. You are chronically ill. The diabetes won't go away. And degenerative diseases are around the block. If you carry the diagnosis of cancer, you're in that third category. And there's still a lot that you can do to support your health. The answers are within each of us. But more important, the answer is a collective answer because it takes all of us. It takes every single one of us in this room right now. We're sharing that space, and I thank you all because the healing is two-way. Both ways it flows. So all is one, all is love, all is light, all is one consciousness. These are deep concepts. These are in a very deep esoteric space, but in truth we all can understand this, that all energy is life, and energy feels from the galaxy and from our earth around affects our life. I'd like to move on to real quickly the causes of stress, and there are many, which would be the next slide. The causes of stress can be allergies. You have allergic rhinitis. So every time the allergen is in the air, you're stressed. Whether or not your body symptomatically gives you a clue with the sneezing or the watery eyes, the allergen is still there. The unconscious and the superconscious mind has perceived that you saw poison oak, and it's working on it. It's working on sending messages to your immune system and your neurological system to perhaps ease the itching from the poison oak. Bacteria, viruses, chemicals, dehydration. I do believe the issues of the heart far exceed any of these on a good day. You can't even see the pollen or the dust when your heart is heavy or burdened with anything. Go ahead and open the door. I think we have some people coming in. I don't want them to miss. Exercise, a lot of fast foods, financial problem. I'm on the next slide. Move on down rather quickly.
Okay.
We have fungus, genetically altered foods, headaches, heavy metals. You have electromagnetic frequency radiation when you travel through the airport. You are being bombarded with so much that your body would not pause, but your right unconscious has observed and has already began to make changes within your body. Finally, I'm on the third page that says that what we all deal with, overwork, chronic pain, those of you who have arthritis and chronic pain, this leads to constant, ongoing stresses that causes the body's mechanism to move. I want to move to the slide that says the vibrational medicine and the human energy field. Is that there?
Yeah.
Please look. This is the energy field that's been denied you. This energy field does exist. And I want to say that every time I test a patient in biofeedback, I get a voltage, amperage, and resistance. Your heart, your brain, your every organ together, put together what would be considered a resonant frequency. Those frequencies, if they're broken, will lead to breaks within the system and what we call an imbalance or dis-ease as best. So we find that there indeed is the physical body, but the physical body has a casual body. That means that when you share resonance, I can easily prove this to you if I was given a scientific laboratory. I would walk into a room that had leprosy, and I would walk out and you would test me and you would find that leprosy was emanating from my body. Maybe I could say the words only and I would resonate with those words. Who knows? I want to stay within a scientific modality in speaking to you, so let me go right to the EPFX. The EPFX is Zeroid Biofeedback. It is marketed by the FDA. It is marketed only for stress reduction, but as a practicing physician, I cannot help but notice the extensive amount of physiology, the heart, lungs, so much in the way of energetic adjustment. I have some things at my leisure. I can send you to the lab, I can send you to x-rays, and I can real-time scan you. And I choose to use the real-time scanning when I look at the nutritional component of the body. It's the easiest thing to do. But let me let you know at least, in theory, what goes on. The electrodermal screening is what happens from this device. They are stretch receptors on your skin that will be stretched, sent to the nervous system through an efferent feedback ring into the brain. The brain then says, oh, something has happened, and you get a response. Oh, you said then, doctor, how will you check my emotions? Oh, yes, I will send a signal, a frequency, undulating frequency, a very low currency, regarding an emotion. Let's just say there's a signature on that. If you pour out a lot of serotonin and dopamine, you've never been dealing with this emotion too much. It's something new. But if I send a frequency that's well known, and you can only give me 2 dopamine and 2 serotonin, I get a very little response. That tells me you've been awfully stressed, you have no reserve, and indeed, you might be dealing with depression. Everybody got that one? The depression is the replacement, chemically, of the neurotransmitters. I would look at impedance, amperage, voltage, capacitance, inductance, and frequency. If I had an electrician in the room, he would say, you're doing electrical circuitry. Here I am again. We are electrical beings. Our healing comes from this electrical format by way of the human energy field. It can be well influenced by your thinking and your emotions. All this feeds in to what we would get is a full biofeedback response. It's something I want to measure about something that's unknown within your body. And this thing that we want to measure today is nutrition. And I need to take a break right now and say that because the EPFX can resonate with thousands of tissues, organs, nutrients, toxins, allergens, I can easily send a frequency into a human body and find out how they are with just the resonance of the nutritional needs of the body, that being the calcium, the phosphorus. I can also tell whether or not the hormone is well balanced. So on the next slide, just to make it short, what we have is a device that uses subtle energy, tests the superconscious or the right side of the brain, which is 89%, uses electrochemistry, utilizes the body electric energy, bioresonance, and gives us a reactivity. How does the individual react to known stimulus? If that reaction is low, then there's nothing. If the reaction is high, that individual has not seen it and is highly reactive because the nerves have sensed something new. EPF gives us information about the energetic state of the body and the direction in which the body is going. Finally, on the last slide, I need to bring my point home, because I would see any one of you for, let's say, a complaint of abdominal pain, intermittent diarrhea and constipation. That seems to be a common thing on the block. I would see you for a total of 3 weeks, and during that period of time I would give you any number of remedies that would help you, but I would also be looking for diagnostic tests. Today, if you come in and tell me, I have abdominal pain and I've been having diarrhea, I can scan you real quick and get a gestalt for what might be causing that. I would like very much to look at this Cellier bar, if you can see that. Any organism, when they're traumatized, first thing happens is the body sends up an alarm, whoa, something has happened. If nothing happens, the body begins to move the calcium, move the phosphorus. The body wants to adapt to a normal state. It does whatever is necessary. If that nothing happens, and we're talking weeks to months, the body gets to exhaustion. I'm out of CO2. I'm out of O2. You haven't ingested any calcium. You've been malabsorption. You have nothing. And so as a result, the energy body in the body collapses. But when I get symptoms, is between the adaptation and between exhaustion. So if you came to see me early in the alarm phase, I could tell you it was salmonella, because your body is resonating so highly in a reactive state to salmonella that it's more likely that this diarrhea and the abdominal pain is due to that. If I was to go my other long run, I would look for the diagnostic test, would take you inside of 3 weeks. You would be well in the 3 weeks when you came back, and I would say, I'm sorry to have inconvenienced you, but the laboratory for your stool culture came back positive for salmonella. Are you doing better? More than most people will find a way to get better, one way or the other. So, in Naja's case, and the last one is about please look down quickly at the chakras. You're going to run through those slides. One is the chakra is an energy level. A lot of people, when I speak of chakras, have not a clue. Let's just say that there's energy emanating from your spinal column, for your throat, your lung. These chakras help to send the engine information to the tubules, to the level of the meridians, to say fix it or it's imbalanced. So on the next slide, I want to let you know that my whole aim for Parking on the Block is to help you rebuild your tissue, do detoxification, and help you to neutralize, and through biofeedback and using it primarily for nutrition, I feel that it's more exquisite. I can do a lot with biofeedback, but I can do more for you through a nutritional real-time scan and make that adjustment. And this is why I've asked Naja to come in. 2 things are going to happen right now. I'm going to very quickly go through what the results of a biofeedback is on a normal patient. And then I am going to pause and have Grant Clark with Energetics come up and talk about his products. Now, on the last slide, if I want to look at the ancient approach there, acupuncture, the Chinese medicine, they really were on the money. I cannot walk away from it. And I want to say something about acupuncture that I've kept. And I will close with that. Homeopathy and herbs, truly the natural way the body was supposed to heal. All of the ancestors, the ancient people who were here on this planet, they said healing would come from the lilies of the field. It is time for us to reach for the lily of the fields. And I'll tell you why there's an urgent move, more so this year than it was last year. Naturopathy and looking for natural healing, spiritual healing, because I've said to you, we can all talk and we can all write till we're blue in the face, until you can spiritually come in close contact with the true self and connect with this universal understanding of the Creator and find some forgiveness and love within that. You can go nowhere on the block. Everywhere you go, you will carry the baggage because you haven't forgiven. And by having anything fester within your body around resentment and anger, that leads to a signature that brings other things to the body. So I like the love generation. I am from the love generation, and I say the key to healing is truly love. Please accept these words from an allopathic physician that has written so many prescriptions, the one that I can guarantee you is the love. I offer that to you today earnestly in saying that I want to make a difference in your body, and I want to make a difference in your health. And so I will ask you to meditate and use mind-body. It's a fix that would take years, but it can happen rather quickly in the time of months. To find that quiet space within you that brings you into the bigger space, which is the universe. It is real. And perhaps we know more about that, and it's been clouded by the suit. Put the suit down for a minute and get into your spiritual, essential self through your heart, and you'll find a place that's very quiet and is always open to healing. Finally, the holistic approach that could use everything that's natural and everything that's good is the way to go. I don't have an option. My only route is an integrative. I have a medical degree in which I'm licensed and I must follow a lot of regulations in order to help you. So I'm willing to use my allopathic head in so doing. At the same time, I want to reach for natural products and show you how you can do that and keep the suit intact before it gets too far and too broken. Regarding acupuncture, the point that I made about the cellular communication is the key to the acupuncture. The cells, on a very intimate level, each of them have the information through the nucleus. They pass it through a set of tubules that are located in the meridians. All of the meridians. Who is this doctor? My God. Dr. Kim Bong-han did the study. He took, in the specific tubules, the fluid out and tested what was in there. What was the level of communication from the acupuncture? So I thought that I would let you know that, one, everything you need is on the web. There's scientific journal and there's enough research to support this. Now, but acupuncture meridian, they form the ethereal aspect of the being in interface, bioenergetic information and a vital chi. Energy moved from the ethereal body to the cellular level to the physical body via specialized meridian network. Anatomic nature of the meridians have been extensively studied in animals. Professor Kim Bong-han in 1960 conducted such a study, and he took fluid extracted from the tubular system, revealed high concentration of DNA, RNA, amino acid, nucleotides, and hormones. Meridians appear to be interly connected. They need to work through the hormone system, but they can indeed make a rapid and quick adjustment on the body system as it pertains to the neuroendocrine system. Their approach to practice is not like the allopathic practitioner. They're a lot like what you heard me say, is that they use some of the environmental in getting their history and looking at natural herbs. And their assessment of their patient, I was really quite impressed, was a use in a most natural, holistic sense of treating the patient. So today we have the founder of energetics. What an honor it is. We have Grant Clark, and this gentleman has been most patient with me over the last year and a half as we've been communicating over the products and trying to do it right. I wanted to select the best group of products for this practice that would be bioavailable, bioenergetically tested, and that's one of the examples. The outstanding thing about energetics is that they do the testing, and that over and over again he's going to talk about the process, and I want you to listen to it. It is available to our body. It's how our body should naturally receive it. And let's just say that you could make the change and the balance within your physiology before it gets to an imbalance. So these products are only marketed to physicians. And so you would have to come to see me. But I'm not going to shortchange you. I am going to use all of my skills and take a very good nutritional history and find the right products that would work for you, as I am also utilizing the products for myself. And what can I say about Mr. Clark? Grant Clark is a West Coast representative whose current background is in nutrition. He is in virology, and we are most happy and pleased today to have him come and share with us about the energetic products. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, it's a pleasure to be here and have a chance to say a little something about the energetics line. But before I do that, I want to say a little something about Dr. Wills. You and this community are very fortunate to have her here. Here's a highly trained medical doctor who, as I think she said herself, not only thinks out of the box but lives out of the box. And she understands so many things just in a natural sort of way. Actually, I remember a couple of years ago, I got a phone call from Dr. Wills. And I used to phone her every once in a while, and I'd get this answering machine that said, this is Dr. Pauline Wills, and this is as good as it gets, or whatever she says on her answering machine. And I thought, who is this? And she called me up, and she said to me, I understand what you're doing with your products. I understand those products. And I could tell by the way she said it that she did understand. And since then we've developed a nice friendship, and we've been working to make these products available to you as a part of what she's doing. It's not like a separate thing. This is a way of extending what she does. And I'd just like to say that as far as energetics is concerned, when we started the company back in 1996, our goal was to give forward-thinking practitioners the best toolbox we could give them for being able to handle chronic diseases, acute diseases, just about everything that they might have to come up against in ways that would really get a person around to the point of actual maintenance. So I'm going to go through a number of these things in a way that I hope will help you to understand the line better, and that will help you to understand more what Dr. Wills is seeking to do for you. And afterwards, certainly, if you have questions, I'll be glad to answer those questions for you the best I can. Okay, so what is energetics? Basically, as I said, the line was designed to meet the needs of an imbalanced and toxic world with gentle, natural solutions. Have you noticed that we're living in a rough world and getting rougher day by day? GMO foods, 2,000 new chemicals a year being introduced into the environment and combining in all sorts of ways. Deteriorating food supply, all those things. It's not for the faint of heart in a certain way. And you wonder why there are all these chronic diseases, cancers and heart diseases that didn't exist, 100 years ago in the same way, that have virtually taken over the society. A healthcare system that's going absolutely through the roof, and whether you call it Obamacare or whatever you call it, is it really healthcare? No, it's really trying to manage this horribly diseased state that we've got. So these remedies are designed to help with that. There are several areas. The first one is nutritional. And everything we do with our nutritional products is designed to make those nutrients highly accessible to the body. Because you can take all the nutrients you want. If you can't assimilate them, how much good is it? Have you heard about when they clean out those porta potties and they find all the vitamin pills in the bottom there that never are digested? That's one of the reasons, by the way, we don't have any tablets. We only have powders and liquids, and things that will assimilate right away. Other types of things, pre-digested proteins, for instance, which are designed to facilitate the healing process right now. Okay? No gluten, no fillers, no dairy products. There was one time I was in a mall, and they had some kind of it was some sort of a confection. It sort of looked like ice cream, but it just said on the top, it said no dairy, no sugar, no blah blah. I kept no. And so I went up to the girl and I said, what is in it? And she had no idea. She said, well, it doesn't have any dairy, and it doesn't have any sugar, and it doesn't have all this. I said, well, what does it have? She had no idea what it was made of, and I shudder to think. But at any rate, it is important that you don't want a bunch of stuff in your products that doesn't belong there. A lot of people nowadays are sensitive to gluten, sensitive to various types of things, and Dr. Wills can test you for those sorts of things, but you definitely don't want them in the products that are supposed to be making you well. Okay? Excellent sourcing in these products. We manufacture them ourselves, so we get to supervise the process all the way through. Now the second area is botanicals. This is herbal types of products. Spagirically processed herbal blends. Now what the heck is a spagirically processed herbal blend? Okay, the word spagiric comes from two Greek words, spa and gyra, and one means to divide, one means to put together. Right? Because with spagiric process, you divide a plant into its essential parts and then you recombine them, and it takes about 6 weeks to do a single batch of remedy that way. But what you end up with is a plant that will assimilate into your body almost immediately. Right? It has all the enzymes, it has the wonderful minerals and the cell salts that you need in those types of products. So if there's a certain herb that you know, how many of you have used herbs before, by the way? Yeah, so you know them, you know how important they are. Well, if you like herbs, you'll love spagirically processed herbs. That's all I can say about that, and you'll find out how that works. Our sourcing is all either organic or wild-crafted, depending on what's available in that way. These are handmade formulations, and I wish I had a video showing you the way the process works with these. We're going to put together a video, so maybe next time I'm up here we'll have that and we can show you. But it's quite a remarkable thing. And by the way, quite apart from the technology, the people who work at Energetics all have a vision. Okay? They're all concerned with a healthier world. That's why they work for us. So I just thought I'd mention that, because to me that matters as much as the technology. Okay, fully tested by independent sources, clean, easy to use, and powerful. That one that's showing there, that olive leaf extract, we have a number of doctors who are using that to knock back recurrent shingles cases in 24 to 48 hours. Can you believe it? With a little bottle of herbal product. You know, sometimes people say, well, you know, I take drugs, I want the real strong stuff. But drugs aren't necessarily the strong stuff. They're strong in the sense that they knock out a lot of things in your system sometimes, but they aren't necessarily stronger than natural remedies. Okay, now here's the next group, specialized homeopathics. You know who that is? That guy there, his name is Samuel Hahnemann. He was the father of homeopathy. And homeopathy is a very interesting science. It uses tiny, tiny amounts of things to signal the body in various ways. It might be signaling the body to start getting rid of toxins. It might be signaling the body saying, look, this is what a normal kidney looks like, right? Or it might be signaling the body to drain things out through the drainage channels. So there's lots of different things you can do with homeopathy. One nice thing about our homeopathics is they taste good. They're all in liquid form. They assimilate very quickly. Detoxifying, balancing, resetting the body's systems, cleansing and toning, supporting allergy needs. You can work with allergies very effectively using homeopathy. Easing stress. And there's an example of one of our drainage remedies, drainage tone. Okay, building and elimination, dynamic balance. What do you use to build in the body? What kind of building blocks does your body use?
Protein, amino acids.
Yeah, nutrients, right? Minerals, all kinds of things like that. But if you just try to build, is that going to work for you? You've also got to be eliminating, don't you? Elimination is just as important as building. Your body is always building up and tearing down. By the way, did you know that if you take your age, whatever it is, and divide by 7, That's the number of completely new physical bodies you've had. Isn't that a strange thing to think about? I mean, parts of your body are replaced every day, right? Other parts every few weeks, other parts every few months, but every 7 years your whole skeleton is replaced, and you're a different you. So, by the way, where is all that substance going? It's flowing in and out of what was described as the energy field, right? The energy field is constant. That's you, right? And the substance flows in and out of the field, and you say, well, I feel different than I felt yesterday. Yeah, you are different. Different substance. What you're eating today is going to become you, the you of tomorrow. And then when you leave some of that behind, when you visit the washroom, do you have a funeral? Do you know, say a few words across yourself or something? No, I don't think so. Because there's things all the time passing away. And every time we breathe, every one of us in this room, did anybody forget to breathe since you got in here? No, we're all breathing, right? And every time you breathe, you're breathing out some of your atoms, right? And other people around are breathing them in, right? And the atoms in the world are circulating all the time, to the point where they say that every single person on the face of the earth today has at least a few atoms in their body that were once in the body of Jesus. Right? That's how much it gets around. I didn't mean to get into all that, but why did I tell them about that? I don't know. Okay. All right. With nutrition, there's general nutrition. There's overall things you should be having every day, like your vitamin D's and your vitamin B's and your vitamin C's, things like that. And then there's targeted nutrition that you need because of some specific deficiency, right? And that's where it's so wonderful to have equipment like that that can tell you exactly what's going on. Same with cleansing. You can do general cleansing. Do any of you do cleanses like once a year? Do spring cleaning or something like that?
A couple of times.
That's what we like. That's what we like. Every so and so amount of time, it's a really good idea to do a general cleanse. And again, Dr. Wills can make some really good suggestions to you on that score. And then there are other times the cleansing must be very specific. Okay? Now, what if Dr. Wills is testing you, and she looks at you, and she says, did you ever come in contact with industrial chemicals? All right? Or did you ever come in contact with pesticides or herbicides? And you think back and you think, you know, I lived beside a school and they used to spray all the time right around my property. Or we had one guy come up one time using a similar sort of device, came up with a chemical that was so long that none of us could pronounce it. We looked it up in a book to find out what it was. Turned out this chemical was only produced in one plant in southern Louisiana. And where do you suppose this guy had worked as a teenager? He had worked in that very plant, okay, for 2 summers. And he said the safety measures were not great. These chemicals were all over the place. But my point is, if you've got something like that in your system, then we need to get very specific about the cleansing. It isn't just general cleansing that's required. We've got to target that toxin and get it out of there. It could be a heavy metal. It could be a pesticide. It could be DDT or dioxin, all right? It could be some unusual virus. It could be residues from vaccinations. Okay? All the good things that we do to ourselves. Okay? But vaccinations can cause all kinds of problems, sometimes 20 years after the fact. Okay? So things like that. Enzyme, probiotics, pH balance. These are all things that have to be in balance in your body. Okay? And what else do we need to do? Oh, you talked about this already. Minimizing stressors. Look at that little fish. He says, I'm adapting to my environment. Right? And the body adapts to stress by shaping itself in all kinds of strange ways, you know? Okay, so sometimes that has to be worked out. Deficiencies and toxicity can produce and aggravate many stresses, okay? And addressing those issues can unblock the healing process. Now, this is one thing I'm going to tell you, a great secret. I shouldn't tell you this since I run a nutrition company, okay? Nutritional products don't heal anybody. Okay? Treatments don't heal anybody. What heals people is the healing current from inside. What nutritional products can do, what treatments can do, is to unblock that healing process so that you can get better. Right? Now that's what Dr. Wills understands that so many people have not figured out. Right? They think that headaches come from a lack of aspirin or Excedrin. Okay? They think that, all kinds of things. But the point is, we want to unblock those healing processes in you, and there are all kinds of ways that can be done. Why did they get blocked in the first place? Because your body adapted to so many things that were unnatural. Right? Did you ever do that in your family? Did you have to live with a brother or sister and you had to adapt to the way they were, and then when you moved out of the house, you suddenly realized what a funny shape you were in? I'm just saying. Okay, targeting stress. Okay, I'm afraid you failed your stress test. Right? Many illnesses are caused or aggravated by stress. Okay, now energetics includes many types of remedies and supplements for helping with this. Let's look at a few of them. Okay, homeopathics for stress. Ask Dr. Wills about flower essence remedies. Now, you asked me to say something about that, and what do you suppose? It's right in here already. Okay. Flower essence remedies. How many of you are familiar with Bach flowers? Some of you? Okay, these are remedies that are made with essences derived from flowers, very, very minute essences. And Dr. Bach, who was a Welsh doctor, actually, and he discovered that different flowers had a relatedness to different emotional states. And he found that by giving people certain flower essences, you could balance the emotional states. Now, we've gone a little bit further with that. We have a product called Fields of Flowers that has 37 of those flower remedies in it. And you know what? Your body is smart enough to make its own remedy from those 37 essences. And that's something you'll discover. But wonderful. How many chronic diseases do you think there are that don't have anything to do with the way you feel? Right? Emotions are very much involved with chronic illness of all kinds. All right? So there are lots of things you can do. Remedies, special B vitamin supplements, other ways to sleep better. Okay, botanicals. Okay? Lots of different botanicals that can be wonderful. Things like valerian, St. John's wort, that can be excellent for calming a person down. Now, what about nutritionals? Obviously, the way you eat is extremely important. But here are a few things that can make such a difference. Phytocal Mag Plus. Okay? These are what are called malates of calcium, magnesium, boron, manganese, right? And there's silica in this remedy, and also a little bit of valerian. But you know, you were speaking about enzymes before and their relatedness to minerals. Magnesium liberates 350 different enzymes in the body. Right? That's how important it is. It can make such a difference to your blood, to everything. But you know what else vitamin C does that I wasn't aware of? Vitamin C will neutralize toxins like dioxin, benzene, right? Things like that. Things that are floating around in everybody's blood and making a mess. Why do you think we've got so much cancer in the world? The graph of cancer goes exactly the same as the graph of the chemicals that have started to go into the environment, because your body doesn't know what to do with that stuff. It wasn't there 100 years ago, right? Your physical body says, what's this? You know, it's got to figure out what to do with it. It doesn't know. So vitamin C will neutralize a whole variety of toxins. That's good enough for me. Right? I would take it for that reason alone. Wouldn't you? Right? Just to give yourself a chance so that you don't end up just another statistic in the healthcare system. You know, speaking of statistics, I didn't mention vitamin D here. I don't think I did. Did I? No. But I heard a statistic where one person said, based on the research on vitamin D, have you all been hearing about that the last while, all the different things vitamin D is helpful for? Cancers of various kinds, heart disease, so many things that it's helpful for. This guy said that if people just optimize their vitamin D, if they did nothing else but optimize their vitamin D all over North America, Do you know how much that would reduce the national healthcare expenditure? He estimated 40 to 50%. Just let that sink in for a minute, right? We've got all these politicians arguing about how to keep paying these ridiculous prices for healthcare, and that simple thing that would probably cost a person a few cents a day could change everything. Just that. So, sorry about the ranting and raving. When I hear something like that, I just got to make sure other people hear it too. Oh, there was that Phytorad antioxidant. This is funny stuff. It's bright yellow, okay? It is very anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and there are 3 different things in that product that have been shown to shrink tumors, all right? So we like things like that. Now, we can't say that Phytorad shrinks tumors. We can't say that, but we can look at the research and draw our own conclusions, can't we? So I always say this is the product that you want to make sure that everybody you really care about has access to, right? Okay. Neuroendocrine adaptogens, okay? See these little guys here? Since we can't beat global warming, they're trying to adapt, kind of like the people in New York and New Jersey right now, huh? They're adapting to global warming, aren't they? Whether they like it or not. But the point is that your body adapts in all kinds of ways and needs to be balanced out. So your neuroendocrine system controls just about everything. What's the neuroendocrine system? Your brain and spinal cord, all your nerves, and your endocrine glands, right? Now, they used to think there were just 7 endocrine glands: the pineal, pituitary, the thyroid, your pancreatic islets, the adrenals, the sex glands, right? Those are endocrine glands because they put hormones straight into the system. And what does that mean? It means those hormones affect everything, right? They go into the bloodstream, they circulate it right direct into the bloodstream. But now they're finding there are lots of other endocrine sources in the body. The bowel has endocrine qualities to it, right? The heart has some endocrine qualities to it. The hypothalamus is half endocrine, right? So these are the control systems, the main central control systems of the body, right? So how important is that, right? Extremely important. Now, another thing, the power of enzymes. Enzymes are great for aiding digestion, you all know that. But your body uses thousands of enzymes for just about every process, right? You can use enzymes to help with pain and inflammation, right? But if you, let's say you don't take any digestive enzymes, okay? And most of the food you eat, if you're eating a typical American diet, is either cooked or processed. No enzymes, right? Now, when you and I were running around in the forest and hunting for things and all that, did the food have enzymes in it? Yes, it did. It all had enzymes in it, right? And the enzymes that were in the food were essential for digesting that. Milk has lactase in it. What is lactase? Lactase is an enzyme that digests milk. Okay? So it has its own digestive enzymes in it. But what do we do with milk? Right? We heat it up, we pasteurize it, right? And what happens? No more enzymes, right? We cook our meat, no more enzymes. We cook our vegetables, no more enzymes. Okay, if you don't have enzymes from outside, do you know where most of your digestive enzymes then are created? In your pancreas, all right? The pancreas is both an endocrine gland and an exocrine gland, all right? The exocrine gland part is the digestive enzymes that come from the pancreas. When you work your pancreas that hard, it can't create the metabolic enzymes that help the rest of your body run properly. And then you start having this problem and that problem and the other problem, and you can't figure out what it is. A lot of it has to do with the fact there's no enzymes in the body. Right? And then your doctor will say to you, well, you shouldn't take too many digestive enzymes because you might become dependent on them. Well, you should become dependent on them. Right? You used to be dependent on the enzymes in your food. They're not there anymore. Do you see what I mean? So you've got to add those in, or your body is going to suffer for it. All right. There's a few of our enzyme products. Okay, finally, prevention and maintenance. Keeping your body at maximum efficiency. Boosting your endurance. Preventing unnecessary illness. How different would things be if we really put our medical concerns centrally in prevention instead of running after all the diseases that have already happened? You know, how many people go to the doctor and say, "Okay, doc, I'm ready for my preventive medical examination and suggestions"? How many people do that? It don't happen. Okay, we have what's called a acute care system. And people pour into the healthcare system with all kinds of problems that are years in development, and then suddenly the symptoms come through to the point where people can't do something about it, and then they try to turn back the tide, right? But what about preventive? The kind of things I was saying with vitamin D, with vitamin C, just certain basic things that are going to keep your body in shape, that will keep you in fighting trim, as they say. Okay, that's critically important. So your road to wellness, okay. By the way, it's different from everybody else's. It's not going to be the same. I can guarantee you that if Dr. Wills tests any two of you on that machine, you're going to come up with very different needs. All right? You're different genetically. Your environmental patterns are different. What you put in your body over the years is different. Right? So you need something specific. Your path is yours, and that's another thing that is such a difference between what Dr. Wills is offering and what you'll find in most doctors' office. They put you through kind of a pretty standard thing, don't they? Spend 7 minutes with you, and you got a pain, they'll give you something for the pain, and you know, Dr. Wills is going to find out what's actually going on there, which is a different thing. So here's some resources. Our website is something you might be interested to have a look at. Dr. Wills offers very specialized biofeedback consultations. Don't guess, okay? So many people go out and they buy all kinds of supplements and health foods and things like that. And if you come in and you have them tested on a machine like this, usually about 80 to 90% of them aren't things people need. They aren't going to help them. They've spent all kinds of money on things that didn't matter, and they don't have the things that do matter. So don't guess. Don't shoot in the dark. Right? Don't self-medicate. Talk to Dr. Wills and get it right. So, at any rate...
scan, real-time nutritional scan.
Right, right. So is this helpful in understanding our line? It's a very kind of a quick little overview. We spent 2 days in Seattle, and we could have spent 2 years and really been bad with it.
Very informative conference.
But anyway, thank you all for listening, and you are so lucky to have this fine doctor.